A little battery life left.
That's all coax.
Now.
Okay.
Sorry, so to back up a step, you said for the internet you need some sort of mesh system.
You'll probably end up going with a mesh system, depending on who you guys pick for an internet provider. They'll have something in mind.
Probably AT&T.
I think you'll probably go with either end up with either Sparklight or Frontier or one of the fiber companies.
Ooh. Sparklight, is that who you had before?
Yeah, that's the one, when the, fire happened, they wanted the router and everything back.
Okay.
It
Like
was
everyone-
and it was all melted on the computer desk.
I would have
and
thought
that-
of that. So here you
There was
go.
a fun story there. Like Jen called everyone, like told them like all the utilities, whatever. Like, hey, we had a fire, blah blah blah. They were all like, hey, is everyone okay? Take your time, get back what you can. These guys, their first question out of Sparklight's mouth was, is our equipment okay or was it damaged? Like, well, I just melted to the counter.
Yeah.
So they said, well, we need it back. We're going to fine you for damage to the equipment. So I went through with a chisel and I chiseled it in the melted printer and part of a desktop organizer and part of a picture frame. And I just plopped it down on our table and said, well, you want it back? Here it is.
We didn't damage it. The fire company did.
Right. Like blame Emeren for that one. So we're not thrilled with them at the moment, but if they're the only game in town, then
They're
that's-
not. They're
Oh,
not.
they're
I
Okay.
said now, I got a
You
chart.
got AT or you got Frontier right up the road. You
Yeah.
got Madison probably. You've got
Madison Box.
you've got Connexus. Those
Connexus is the one that keeps on sending me saying, damn, and
Yeah.
Frontier.
Gotcha.
They're hammering everybody because they went through their blue lines through everything, and they're trying to get people to subscribe for their stuff, and nobody's buying it. It's your choice who you go with. I'll keep my mouth quiet on that because I fought them tooth and nail. I did not want them blowing up my yard. I didn't ask for any of it. I didn't sign up with. There was no communication on the resident level with what's going on. They just like, we're here. We're just going to blow our way through this stuff, and we're going to leave the mess behind. And screw you. You fix it on your own dime.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
And-
I'm not putting you on blast here. I promise.
But no. I mean, that's the honest truth of it. And it got to the point where I finally called in and filed a complaint with the ICC, and that put a brakes on all of it.
Gotcha.
And we were probably the only house in the area that did not end up with a freaking flower pot in our yard and everything blown up. You know, and I explained to the ICC when I called in, I was like, look, my front yard's only 75 foot long in width. I told them, there's no room for any more utilities. I've already got gas, water, and electric running up through here.
Right.
There's nothing else coming in up here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not a
I
lot
told
of
them,
yard.
the rest of the space that's open, I've got a little patch of grass that's about 6 foot wide, and I've got a driveway. I told them, so you're not putting any of that in my driveway, and you're
Right.
not disturbing my grass.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And they said, well, we'll have to see what our plans can do on that. I said, that's fine. I told them, so I'm going to go ahead and file a complaint with the ICC, and you guys do what you want between there. But I said, if anybody shows up here and you plant anything in my yard, I told them, so by the time you get back to put low line through it,
It
I
won't
told
be
them,
there.
I told them, so it's going to be full of concrete. Every last bit of it.
I
Well,
wouldn't
see,
blame
that's
you.
what they did over here on that Nitten Street or something, tore it. A person just had a brand new driveway poured and that, they tore it up and told them.
Yep, they did the same thing over in Litchfield too. They hit a subdivision. They destroyed I think it was like 10 or 12 driveways that had just new aprons that had just been poured, and they cracked every single one of them.
And told
awful.
them, that's your problem, not ours, and pulled away.
Yeah. Now, there's accountability behind it. They just don't want people knowing what it is. So, yeah, like I said, I went roundy with them. Frontier was dead set they were gonna do it until they got that phone call from the ICC. What are you guys doing to people? You know, and that was the problem I found out real quick. The people with the ICC and even at the corporate level,
Yeah.
they had no idea what was happening on the ground level. They thought all this stuff was getting put in people's alleyways. They didn't know they were going through here and blowing everybody's front yards
Yeah.
up.
Being a bull in a china
And-
shop.
And the
Yeah.
boulevards.
Yeah. You know, they had no idea.
What are you guys
and-
doing?
Oh, that's perfect, it's right there
So-
where that hole is.
You're trying to mock out what the island size would be using cardboard.
Yeah, we called Lyle, actually, we called
Actually,
Uncle
Lyle
Dick.
called me, so I was like, were your ears burning?
We called Uncle Dick.
I heard.
Lyle was trying to get a hold of Dick, we were on the phone with Dick, so Lyle called Judy.
I heard most of it from downstairs. It sounded exciting. So those beams are here to stay or no?
So these can all come out.
Okay, good.
The only two that have to stay are the ones against the wall.
So those are just temporary support. Okay. We're having a lengthy, soulful conversation about what we're doing for our internet setup, but
So my
we're
thought
not there yet.
Yes, ma'am.
is, I just almost tripped and put myself in the hole,
Well, don't do that.
Watch your step.
So the island's gonna come out.
to here.
to here.
I might let it up there and then have that then,
Cause that's
because
where the
it'll be
fridge-
open from the edge of that box to here.
Electrically speaking, the only thing that you're gonna have in is probably a receptacle underneath the countertop edge somewhere, right?
What's
On the
this?
end, like an island outlet.
Like
Yeah,
the
I wouldn't,
plug-in.
wouldn't.
Yeah, you'll have an island out on one side or the other probably. But as far as appliances go, you don't have any appliances in there, so an outlet tube going in there, as long as there's room in the cabinet to cut one in, yeah, you can have whatever you want.
And that flow makes sense, right?
Looks good for my house.
Cause my, Charlie stands right here.
Okay.
Charlie, be a fixture.
Okay.
You're an
Start-
island.
You're an
Start of my
island.
life.
The only thing would be,
You're a little shorter. There
Okay.
you go.
I'm a slightly shorter island. Okay.
And then, yeah, cause I would be able, cause that would be open, so I can still see the dining room. And then I'd have from here to here. That's pretty wide.
and then the only thing you have consideration is there would be, is 78,
That's the top,
so,
cause it's gonna overhang a couple inches.
Your overhang on the edges, on
Is
the edges
78.
of it's only gonna be like a half to 3/4 of an inch probably.
Okay.
so the 36, does that probably include
That's edge to edge. So if you
the
have,
countertop?
your base cabinet's gonna be 24 wide.
Okay, that was, okay. I didn't know if the cabinet was 36 or the
The
cabinet.
So-
the cabinet, they said is 75 by 24, but with the top, it's 78 to 36, because you have extra room for the bar side.
Right.
Okay, so 36.
So they're gonna take and fuzz most of that overhang over to one side or
Right.
the other
So
for
you're gonna
seating,
have
and
the
that
bar
way, when you're
stool right
sitting there,
here.
you don't sit there and dump your food in your lap.
No, I'm gonna have the bar stools over here,
Oh, that's true. I forgot we switched it.
cause
Okay.
know
he's
what?
the edge of the cabinet.
That's right.
You know, it seems like would work is if you got
So,
like painting
if I-
tape and like
It's more
extra-
like our kitchen, because if I'm cooking, cook, it's just rather than having the extra, the pots and pans here, or on, in my kitchen, they're on this side, it'll be on this side.
Yeah, and the bar stools would be here,
And
you're
the bar
right.
stools will be there. And then I have all of this open then.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, I just was
No,
like-
you're fine. Don't be
I just
sorry.
like spent a whole
We were
bunch of
both
money on
freaking out.
cabinets and,
I walked in and I seen that wall and I looked at her and she says, I know what you're thinking. That's what I'm saying, it's
So
not
they're
gonna
saying
fit.
you're good all the way up to the doubles.
Lionel said I just can't remove these
That's fair.
on either side.
He says that header's good, it just needs those two in.
I don't know why those are. Anyway, moot point.
He put those there because when I was texting back and forth, he thought I meant a 48-inch wall on both sides.
Ah,
Because I was in meetings texting.
gotcha. You know what we need is like an actual like model. Or maybe just like to put painting tape on the floor.
Yeah, that's how I usually do it whenever we're doing mock-ups, because a lot of times, like this house we just did, I'll go through and pendant lights, the boxes and everything gets roughed into them before a single cabinet even comes in the building. That's why I asked if you had measurements on everything and how accurate those were, you know, because a lot of times I'll go through and we're going off of measurements of what somebody envisioned 6 months ago, you know, and it's nice to find out if the stuff's gonna work or not ahead of time before we get after it.
And
That's
some
why I
people are
measured
more
those
thorough than
boxes,
others.
and those two of those boxes plus 2 inches is the island, so I could see.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So just be careful when you're doing that. It's real easy to forget about the holes in the floors. I don't think I have any more questions for you guys right now. I was talking with you're her husband, right?
Yep, Charlie.
Okay. All right. Make sure I'm not confusing people.
You're fine.
One thing we didn't talk about was, do we need to run Ethernet cable or anything like that throughout the home for anything?
So,
Most internet systems on a house this size, you're gonna end up using what they call a mesh system, where you'll have a router downstairs and then you have a booster somewhere else.
Like what we have, probably.
yeah, we just always had one router in
Oh.
the dining room.
I thought we had. Okay. So not like what we have, but
No, we have a booster, because we
Mhm.
have Xfinity.
right.
Do we want to run a second Ethernet cable from the upstairs downstairs and just terminate it in a wall jack behind a box where there's gonna be a piece of furniture eventually?
I don't know.
Okay.
What's the computer person saying?
I would recommend at the bare minimum, finding some place where there's gonna be a dresser or a nightstand or something like that where, or an end table or something like that, and just cutting a wall jack in. And whether you use it or not, it'll already be there and already be terminated. Everything I'm putting in these days is all Cat 6, so I mean, it's the latest and the greatest of the technology that's available. Cat 6 for a house this size is buku freaking fast.
That's fine then.
So probably like some sort of Cat 5 outlet in each room, or
It'll be,
Cat
yeah,
6.
it'll be
Cat
Cat 6 cable, but yeah, it'd be the RJ Crowley series receptacles. You know, and it'll be actual receptacles, so you won't have bukus of wire sitting there hanging out or anything like that. It'd be a truss flim trim solution.
rather than having a router on each floor.
Right.
Okay.
Well, if you'll have to put your booster upstairs, you know, and then it'll just pigtail off of one of the switches off the back of the main router. Is all it would be, and you don't have to use it, you know, and if you decide, hey, you know what, we're just gonna take and plug in for a direct connection for a TV or something like that,
Right.
you can run your cable that way too.
Wi-Fi is a lot more handy than trying to run cables, so.
Right.
So what
So,
was Lyle doing? What
you know,
you
just
guys-
trying, you figure trying to get past all these different building materials, and insulation and drywall and stuff like that, and I forget what they said the ratio was, but for every 4 inches of wallboard material that you pass through, your signal gets cut in half. You know, so,
That's about right.
you know, it's, like I said, if we can plan ahead for stuff like that, and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and put this provision in here, whether we need it or not, it's there, it's the cheapest time to put it in. You know, and the cable's already being ran, so it's not like you're paying for extra labor to get it in there.
Have you given any thought to provider? I know not Sparklight.
No, I have to see what we have in town
Okay.
and what's gonna be cost effective.
And you're not a fan of Frontier, I gather.
I'm not a fan of any of them, because I had to fight them all tooth and nail to keep them out of my yard.
Oh,
You know, and they said, they came in and they pushed that stuff under a government program, which is fine, you know, the infrastructure needs to be updated. But they didn't talk to anybody before they came through and started blowing people, they just blew it up. You know, and whenever I started making phone calls and making complaints about the stuff, everybody I talked to thought they were sitting there pushing through alleyways. They had no idea that they're blowing up people's front yards. And it's because these people are on the opposite end of the state. I'm like, well, they came through our alleyway. I thought they were doing it in everybody's alleyway. And it's like, no, they're blowing up our front yards.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, my neighbors over here used to have the prettiest yard in the whole freaking town. And now she's got a freaking 3 foot by 4 foot freaking telephone box sitting in her yard, above ground. And right next to it is a 2 foot by 3 foot freaking manhole box that's 3 foot deep.
Yeah,
You know, I couldn't believe they did that to Julie Benty's who they done that to.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
You know, and she wasn't the only one they did it to either. You know, and there was nothing small and petite about any of the stuff they're doing for what, 1 or 2 cables to come in? Come on.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, they had no consideration for anybody for it. And it's like, you know, we're gonna blow all this stuff in, it's fiber, everybody's gonna want it. And now nobody wants to buy from them because they're too expensive. You know, so,
I really, now that I'm thinking about cables and stuff, I'm really thinking that the cable needs to probably go here.
But that's all.
Because I would imagine the three TV's gonna go back here. And
Yeah.
it's on a TV stand,
Right.
and it would make sense that I could hide that box behind the TV. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. It's the most
you
logical
want to
place
run to
for
both
it.
corners in case you change your mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the TV usually is either here or in this corner, and if I move it, then I usually put the couch here so I can still hide it and then run it up, you know what I mean?
When you say both corners, you mean there and,
There,
Yeah, somewhere adjacent to wherever the receptacle's gonna be.
yeah,
You
gotcha.
know, are these gonna be wall mounted or are they gonna be sitting on something?
sitting on something.
Okay. TVs be on.
That's the courthouse. I said, you know the building.
TV stand, you know, one of the big fireplaces in it.
Jail. And I don't think any of you three will look good at orange.
Okay. All right. I will probably have more questions the next time we come together. Let me, how soon are you guys looking to try to pull the trigger on any of this? I mean, you guys still have some more details that you need to get ironed out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have at least 2 weeks? Okay. Let me spend a couple of weeks and try and get this all worked out. And whenever I reach back out to you, I'll have a set of plans drawn up with a layout. And then we go through and we can start axing stuff out and making changes off of that. And we'll have a pretty for sure idea of what we're gonna be running into and kind of a ballpark estimate of what we're looking at material wise too.
Okay, yeah, because Lyle's trying to get all this framed so that way it's out of the way
Right.
and done. That way you guys know what you can go through versus what you can't go through.
Right. You know, looking at it right now, I mean, right now is the time when you wanna go through, you wanna kind of trim and level the house back out and get everything straightened out for the next 100-something years worth of service. You know, there's no reason a house like this would last that much longer. You know, like I said, I mean, it's a tragedy what happened, but, you know, like I said, I
You
mean,
gotta look at this online.
you got a lot of really good stuff that's gonna come out of this too, and, you know, I can only imagine what the new equity on a house like this is gonna be after everything's all freshly updated and completely renovated, new insulation and windows, and my gosh, it's gonna be huge for this house.
More than 3 outlets in the entire first floor. Yeah, no, that'd be perfect.
Right now, there's two over here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, earlier I explained, we read the layout on the outlets,
The 6
6 foot rule. Okay, now if you don't like that, we can go through and we can take some out, or we can add more in, you know, but 6 foot rule usually covers the majority of everything.
Right.
And the only place that doesn't really apply is like stairwells, because you're not gonna plug anything in there really. If you have ideas about other things as we go along that we haven't talked about, let me know, and I can work them in somewhere. Like I said, you know, now's kind of the time to keep the conversation open and flowing well.
Absolutely.
And like I said, here in a couple of weeks, I should have your drafts ready to go and everything pieced together. It takes longer to get all the measurements transferred over
Right.
than it does to start filling in the blanks.
Good deal.
So,
And just let us know what other do outs. I remember you mentioned like internet provider, although that's probably a lesser one. Like
I made
there-
my list.
you have a list of decision points we owe them. Okay, good deal.
and I'll have some options for you guys as far as your exhaust fans and stuff like that go, and I'll be able to answer the question once I start specking out the ones that are my fan favorites versus, you know, the other options. And I'll be able to tell you what size ductwork we would need to run for them and things like that too.
Okay.
We'll
And we're
probably just,
doing the ductwork
if I provide the fans, then yes, I'll put the ducting in. Okay, and
and vent it out or whatever.
yes, that's what I mean. I'll take it, we run it out to the soffit or someplace safe where it's, can be vented out where it's not gonna be an issue to anybody.
Everyone, you have to ask all of them.
Yep. Yeah,
Like
that's
this
why I
lesson
said, if you guys
translation.
provide the fans, I'll install them, but you guys do the ductwork
Yeah.
yourselves on those, you have somebody else do it. You know, and Emery can probably run the ductwork too. You know, if it's gonna be something where it's gonna be really complicated, I may end up passing it off to him and say, let him take it. And I'll let you guys know that answer, you know, once I come back to this. And we say, let's go back through this one more time, I need to do some measurements and double check and make sure this is gonna work, you know, and so on and so forth.
As long as it's
But-
not Clint.
So, what we're looking at doing though is we're gonna hard pipe across and out, over, across the bulkhead, and then your new breaker box
It'd be right below those windows.
about right here. So that gets us a lot closer to the kitchen, it gets us a lot closer to the point where we're gonna be turning around and everything upstairs for the furnace and things like that.
So it's more equidistant to everything.
So, that'll help keep the wire sizes and the distance down on your runs.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions that you have for me at the moment?
Not that I can think of.
Okay,
If I do, I will text you.
that's fine, text is
Appreciate
fine,
it.
email's fine also, you got both.
And then I